I will set the zeitgeist straight.
The movie has too much of the cast in it.
Man, I'm saddled with Jeff Goldblum, the world's most uncharismatic actor.
But it has no poetry.
That's not what this is about.
The problem was when the hero started facing adversity.
Get off your soapbox, Laura Dern.
I want to square off on this guy at a dinner party.
The music was thick.
So far, you have not dazzled me. I'm just letting you know.
Do not try to listen to the podcast. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth. There is no podcast.
Welcome to Off the Mark. Good chat on bad takes of great movies. I'm Dave Columbo.
I know Kung Fu. I'm Mick Andrews.
And if you could tell from the beginning, we are doing the fabulous movie that everybody knows and loves, Poor English Accent. No, we talk about the horrible reviews of the best movies ever made, and we're just gonna jump right in. Today's episode is The Matrix, released March 31st, 1999, a budget of $63 million. Again, it's so cute. Even back
adorable.
Just in the 90s, $63 million. That is the catering budget of a Netflix movie now. It made $643 million worldwide, beating out what was out at the same time. Saving Private Ryan was in the theaters at the same time, as well as, I'm sure, a future candidate for this series, Patch Adams. Somehow more people like The Matrix than Patch Adams.
Weird.
I
that
know. One. But yeah, The Matrix, a phenomenal movie. Everybody loves it.
Incredible.
Because this came out a couple of months before Phantom Menace. And I was huge Star Wars fanboying at the time. I had watched the trailer for Phantom Menace about 1 million times. And I remember like literally feeling like nothing in the world is going to compare to what it's going to be like to be able to watch a new Star Wars movie in the theater. And went randomly to see this because, I mean, again, you don't really... I was there. I remember seeing the trailer for The Matrix going like, you won't even tell me what the movie's about? Like, what? Okay. And I went with my best friend, and we walked out of the theater saying, I don't think Star Wars is going to be better than this. And whoo boy, I could not have been more right. But like, because we mentioned this before when we were on the Jurassic Park episode, talking about like after the CG in Jurassic Park, what was the movie that was the next time there was a huge shift in technology? And honestly, bullet time. I mean, not just in movies, all video games started doing bullet time and calling it bullet time directly after this movie. It is... I went back and watched it again just to be ready for this. The pacing is so on point. In this era now where everything is like a like every Disney Plus series that you see now where they're really trying to pad out 10 episodes of a show, and like two characters will get together and it's very, very important that they have a conversation, but for whatever reason, like one character will be like, it's complicated. And really, that just means I need to.
Yeah, I'll explain it in 2 more episodes.
Give me 2 episodes to say the thing. Versus this movie, where literally every scene is a drip, drip, drip of new information being given at just the right time, new mystery, new philosophy to consider. Like you know just enough as the movie's going on, and it's one of the reasons that I think that the sequels didn't land nearly as well is because this movie really is like the unfolding of a mystery. You don't know what it is, and then you do, and now let's play in that sandbox, and what are the boundaries of that sandbox, and then it builds and builds and builds, and literally every scene builds on top, and I've been talking a long time. You talk.
No, I completely agree. For my money, I think this movie is a great exercise in like, if it's extra, cut it. Like you said, it's a drip feed, but every drop matters. Like every piece of information you're given is consequential to either a character's motivation, moving the story forward, or, building stakes. What's fantastic about this movie is that you can you can enjoy it for a number of reasons. There is a really interesting story going on here. There's a great kind of fantasy idea or sci-fi idea baked into the idea, the Matrix and these two worlds. But on top of that, there is just a balls to the wall awesome action movie.
Especially compared to the sequels, which are really like, let's do 20 minutes, conversations talking about like the origins of man and free will and and the architect going like, spending an hour. The first movie is like, there is no spoon. And now let's do a 5-minute fight scene in a dojo. Like it is more of an action movie that's just asking you to think a little bit.
Mhm.
If your problem is that it's too heady, then you can't handle basic plot, basic lines like, like the Oracle told you what you needed to hear because, like little moments that are like, that are okay. It's not Arnold Schwarzenegger going, "Why don't you hang around?" Okay, so it's not that. It's a little asking you to think a little bit more than that, but it's definitely not hard to follow. It's when the lore gets expanded into like the animated stuff and the video games and all of a sudden it's like, wait, how many the matrices were there? And what am I, what is the architect and who is the Oracle? That's when it got convoluted.
Yeah, it got convoluted when they tried to give everything a fully fleshed out world.
Yeah.
And so this review is, I mean, we honestly can and very likely will this will take us some time to sift through. This could take the entire run of the show.
All right.
So so this is from the Daily Gazette from up in Schenectady, New York.
Love it.
April 1st, 1999. Titled "Movie Matrix: A High-Tech Assault That Will Delight Narrow Audience."
No.
All right. You ready?
I love it.
Matrix is a $60 million high-tech assault on the senses and a pretentious insult to the mind.
All right. Okay. All right. I mean, I thought your title was an insult to the mind, but go ahead.
It's the kind of movie kids over 15 and under 16 will think is cool, and one which slackers everywhere will hail as mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Others may interpret its fusion of religion, mythology, and Zen acrobatics as a stunning, intelligent venture into new intellectual territory. If so, you can bet their reading has been exclusively confined to comic books and 2-bit science fiction.
Okay. All right. I mean,
Little close to home, Dave?
It is yes. Like literally the next line is Dave Columbo will love it. I mean, okay, like, yes. If all you're doing is looking at the aesthetics, it is very 90s esque. The whole sunglasses, cartwheels, and slow motion shooting, in a lesser action movie. Yeah, it looks like it's all it's all visuals and all style and no substance. It has more substance than any other action movie that had come out up to that point. I'm thinking about where action movies were in the 90s, and I'm just seeing Harrison Ford shouting, "Get off my plane," and punching somebody off of Air Force One.
Mm-hmm.
That's where action movies were. That's the headiness that was asked of audiences in the 90s.
It's building its own world. It's not man on plane fights terrorists. It's not Lake Placid, which was another movie that came out in 1999.
Phenomenal
That's
movie.
kind of the yeah. Also Deep Blue Sea came out. There was a lot of I just did a quick search of 90s action thrillers that came out at the time.
All of which I saw in the theater by myself. Mhm.
It's spawned a lot of like actual futurism kind of thought processes of like um simulation theory. Like,
Yeah.
are we actually truly in a computer I'm certain that this is not the first movie, or this is not the first work of fiction to posit that thought, but it's certainly the first mainstream one to my mind that kind of had this level of cultural significance, and one that had every single person, if you said simulation theory to someone, their eyes would glaze over, and then
Mhm.
you go, like the Matrix, and they go,
Right.
that.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, it's putting forward some pretty heady concepts that I wouldn't say are confined to 2-bit sci-fi,
I
but
also think that it's the movie's gonna have fans of all types just because, you know, 90s, emo slackers are also kind of like connect to it or connect to the visuals or whatever. That's not inherently a criticism of the movie
yeah.
necessarily. It's just that this appeals to them. It's like saying that, the toxic masculinity concepts in Fight Club have you can't even talk about them because too many people really like Tyler Durden. It's like, okay, but the movie is making deep, deep points. It's not the movie's fault that people don't get the depth and glom on to Tyler Durden as some sort of hero.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good comparison. Also a movie that came out in 99.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough. But yeah, I think Fight Club is a good parallel for this. That like there's a group of people that see it for face value, that kind of miss a lot of commentary on it. It can serve as just a plain action movie by itself. You can kind of mentally just not want it to be more than that, and
Yeah.
you won't get more out of it than that. Um,
But it's
but I think
also,
that speaks to what's good about it, is that like it kind of hits the mark for multiple kind of
and
things.
that's the thing. It's also the best we've seen at that surface level shit. Like as an
Yeah,
action movie, that first action scene spoils us for like 10 years
yeah.
about the wire work, the collection of CG combined with practical effects. Uh, it's so crisp and it moves so fluidly, and she's jumping through the window and landing and pulling the guns out. Like it's doing, if all you want is mind-numbing, brain dead action movie, it's doing that better than anything else.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's
also asking you to think, but you don't have to, and you're still watching. That fight scene in the dojo is like absolutely spectacular, and it looks like both Lawrence Fishburne and Keanu Reeves are literal pro martial artists.
the work that had to go into that, because it is them as far as I know. Like, I mean, they had obviously had action coordinators and stunt doubles and those kinds of things that
But like
movies typically have.
long
But
takes.
the long take sequences, they did a lot of their own kung fu work, and it's incredible the amount of stuff they do. Also, we talked about the wire work, but the this is one of those movies where, like, for the time, it is as we've already said, it's a paradigm shift in how action
Yeah.
is shot and performed on camera. It's an inflection point in movies where everything after this that comes even close to it is going to get compared to it. Um, that the amount, like, I'm sure, you can, if you haven't, you can look it up on YouTube, but the making of, where they shoot the scenes where Neo's getting shot at, and he bends back, how they have to do, like, they have like 70 cameras lined up in a circle in order to get that shot, where it's not a circle pan, it's actual cameras that they have to merge all these shots together, and the amount of computer work, the green screen stuff. It's a $60 million movie where I feel like you see every dollar of that
Every
movie, every
dollar.
dollar of that, like, shown in the final cut of the film.
Yeah.
Then it's also full of just fantastic writing. It's just little scenes, little tiny scenes where like Keanu, they're fighting, and Lawrence Fishburne leans over and goes like, "You think that's air you're breathing?"
Mm-hmm.
And just the look on his face where he goes like, "Okay."
Yeah. Yeah.
Little scenes like that where it's like, man, they really planned and thought, and like it's just
They squeezed
they
out.
understood.
They squeeze out every drop of potential fun you can have in this idea of a simulation. Every single like up until like halfway into the movie or 3/4 into the movie, we're figuring out that and to this day I still say this in my head. Anytime I have deja vu, that's a glitch in the Matrix.
There's a glitch in the Matrix. I think of it all the time.
I think of that all the time, and I'm like, I see what you're doing. I see what
somebody's
you're doing.
edited the Matrix.
Somewhere
yeah.
Hugo Weaving is looking is having a frowny face.
So, you'll only like it if you're into comics and 2-bit sci-fi. Regardless, it's unlikely any negative assessment will keep teens and slackers, the movie's target audience, away from Matrix. A hodgepodge of other movies like Men in Black, The Terminator, 2001, and a host of kung fu specials.
I mean, no. It is wholly original in its aesthetic. In what way is it 2001: A Space Odyssey? In what
science?
way?
It's because it's got science, Dave.
Because it has. Oh, right. Because it has science.
Because it's got sciences in it.
I didn't think of that.
There are so many sciences in this movie that.
I mean, and also the whole like, I don't think anything we're going to say is going to keep those slackers away from coming to see this movie.
This whole we're not even a quarter of the way into this. This whole review is just nerd shaming.
Yeah.
Which was completely socially acceptable in 1999.
Yep.
The idea, could you imagine this person writing a review of like Endgame?
Oh my goodness.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I guess all these people who have been watching these movies for 10 years might want to see how it wraps up.
Sure, you sweaty nerds might like the special effects, but it's just a knock on people who enjoy who enjoy computers, who enjoy futurism, who enjoy comic books, who enjoy like certain styles of action movies, highly stylized movies, basically is what this thing is knocking.
Yeah.
Like that and it's also, I think, one of the real hallmarks of this movie is that it took kind of niche themes, niche sci-fi elements, and brought them into the mainstream. Like we've said, simulation theory is now something anyone can immediately understand.
Oh, and it's absolutely based on a bunch of animes, the style. The Wachowskis watched a lot. Like they literally loved that aesthetic. I mean, I know this reviewer is not going to do this, so I'm going to say it now. Why don't you then speak to that audience? If your point is they're still going to go see it, then talk to us. Explain to us how it was done better, where we're wrong in finding value in stories like this. Again, like, be proactive. Don't just like hem and haw and roll your eyes at like, they're going to show up. Yeah. Yes, we are.
I think that's the real that's the real knock I have with this, is like, this one is like, I guess you'll like it if you're a square, but like, it's like, okay, yes, if you're into those things, you will enjoy this movie. Is not a reason to not like this movie if you're not into those things.
Right.
Like, it's not an explanation. There is zero explanation in this of why it is wrong to like those things, and why there's also no explanation really of why, if you're not into those things, this movie won't be good for you. It doesn't say like, it says nerds are going to love it. It doesn't explain why, if you aren't into computer science, this movie is not any good. Because what this movie does do is open the doors of those kind of niche things and go like, this is a world that a lot of people who don't know a lot about it could enjoy.
It's almost like it's like this review is actively saying us normies don't go because you're going to be surrounded by a bunch of uggo nerds.
Yeah, you're going to be a bunch of you're going to be surrounded by dorks.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's what this is. I think it was a lot more socially acceptable to just crap on people for liking nerdy things. And I remember a big shift, maybe 5, 6, 7 years after this movie came out, where suddenly like nerd culture became pop culture.
Yeah.
They merged. And it was okay to like these things.
I think it came with like X-Men, Spider-Man, and then the beginning of like kind of the Marvel universe and the Star Wars movies. There was just it went from like, here's a movie for the nerds to like everything at the box office is kind of like angling for that market. So all of a sudden it can't be like, oh, here's another one for the nerds. It kind of became like, well, the nerds are out again, know, and I still remember when I was working at a comic book store, guy walks in and he's wearing an elvish cloak, and it had the
leaf,
the
green leaf.
And I remember just kind of going like, oh, like that's really cool. And he goes, thank you. And I was like, are you like, going to like a movie or like a premiere or something? And he goes, no. And I remember just being like, right on, man.
Hell yeah, dude.
that's
no
my
reason.
Man.
Wear it for no reason.
Wearing it because it's Thursday.
Thought it was cold out, so I threw my elvish cloak on. That's phenomenal. Yeah. That's the way people should be. If you enjoy something, do it all the time.
Yeah.
Enjoy it completely. And I'm glad that we are past a point where you should feel ashamed for having interests that differ from the mainstream, such as they are to nerd culture. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that gets unfairly marginalized.
Yeah.
But, let's read on. It's a hodgepodge of other great movies. That's where we left off. Addicts to computer games will probably have an ecstatic, if not orgasmic, love affair with Matrix, an incoherent, glitzy gift from the Wachowskis, referred to in the business as the Wachowskis, and creators of a superb earlier movie for grown-ups called Bound.
Okay. You know what's really funny is usually on this show, we're irritated by the end of the sentences, but this one started addicts of computer games, and I'm like, already, I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Addicts of computer games will probably have an ecstatic, if not orgasmic, love affair with the Matrix. God, you nerds can't even keep it in your pants, man. Just love that bullet time. The way she jumps in the air and the camera moves, you probably can't contain yourselves. Well, this is a home viewing only for you nerds. Jesus Christ.
God. Okay. What would say the end again?
Sure. We'll have an orgasmic love affair with Matrix, an incoherent, glitzy gift from the Wachowskis, referred to in the business as the Wachowskis, and creators of a superb earlier movie for grown-ups called Bound, which I've never seen. I don't know if you've seen
it either.
Yeah.
How is it incoherent? It's not incoherent. It flows. It makes sense. You may not like it. It may not appeal to you. But what about what's happening is incoherent?
I will say
it all makes sense within the context of what it's...
It didn't make sense to me when I first watched it because I was 9.
Yeah, you were 9. I mean, I think dinner is incoherent when you're 9. You know?
What is this? I didn't order this. I want chicken nuggets. It was tough to follow as a child. I feel like this movie might be tough to follow if you're not paying close enough attention or like actually watching the movie. If this was a movie where you got up and walked out and walked back in, it might be difficult to follow. Again, what I said earlier, I think there's not a lot of fat in this movie. I think every scene matters and every scene it builds on itself, like as you said, to the point where if you miss parts of the puzzle, you might need catching up,
Right.
or you might.
That's
But
the thing is
that
that
doesn't mean it's incoherent.
there's
That
a
just means
difference.
it's tight.
I always feel like there's a difference between like hard to follow and incoherent. Incoherent means like it doesn't fit within its internal
It's
logic.
illogical. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it will say things that don't pan out or lead you into a different direction where there's plot holes or certain, like, which is not hard to follow. Yeah, because if I'm playing Candy Crush and I look up every now and then, you know, I may have missed a little bit, you know, or whatever's going on. But like, that's not the movie's fault. The movie answers its questions, enough of its questions to make logistical sense. He is the one, or is he not? Morpheus thinks he is. She's in love with, you know, like it all. Okay, that's very frustrating. Anyway,
I think there's also a certain type of moviegoer. I am being unfairly charitable in thinking I assumed that a lot of movie reviewers were not this kind of person, but there are certain people who need a movie spelled out as literally as possible.
yeah,
Here's what this is, here's what's happening, here's who these people like. So for example, I feel like someone who watches the movie like that might have questions about like, what was that pill that he took? Why is the mirror acting that way? And it's like, those are not explained because they don't have to be.
right.
They're not necessary to move the story forward.
And I
you
think
don't
that
need to understand what is in that pill.
for people like you and me, it's very clear. Oh, the boundaries of what I'm supposed to question and what I'm not supposed to question. Like at the beginning of the movie, he already knows who Morpheus is. He already knows who Trinity is.
He's heard of them, right?
And they don't say like, I remember hearing first about the Matrix and da 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 da. He just kind of goes like, what is the Matrix? Like the suggestion is we're in, what is it pronounced? How does it pronounce? In medias res? Like we are catching the moment where like some of this has kind of already been hinted at beforehand, and you and I have just enough information to go like, got it, moving on. Let's keep going. But for someone else, it's like, wait, so he already know, but we didn't see them meet. You know, we didn't see the first time he's heard of this, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on. Their movie stars Keanu Reeves as Neo, otherwise referred to as the One. In truth, he is the Messiah, the chosen one, the embodiment of the second coming, as envisioned by his mentor, played by Lawrence Fishburne. In a work in which two realities coexist, Fishburne plays Morpheus in mythology, the god of dreams. When Morpheus realizes he's in the presence of the One, he will whisk his student into the world of virtual reality. That's actually the opposite. He whisks him into the world of actual reality.
Out of the world of virtual reality.
It shows how closely this person's watching.
Yeah.
After this ultra-sensitive, mind-enhancing guide informs our hero that his 1999 world is an illusion and, in fact, is really the 21st century. Oh, man. Welcome to the 21st century. And that computers are using humans as energy sources in pods. Hey, man, like, cool, The Matrix. That's its own standalone.
No. You can't. Okay, so you're accurately recapping the story. You can't then
with just a fucking eye roll of a sentence.
You know, if that's your fucking thing, man.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how you don't read that paragraph and go like, there's something to be done with that.
Yeah, like, that's a great like if I were just reading that, I'd be like, yeah. That's like, you know,
this writer dismisses it with, hey man, like, cool, The Matrix.
The Godfather is the story of Vito Corleone, who's trying to maintain his family while simultaneously running a criminal empire. It is
like
the story of the mafia.
The Godfather.
You know, so guns go pew pew or whatever. Like, like that doesn't negate. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey man, cool or whatever.
The Matrix. The Matrix is just a sentence in this. Okay.
Jesus.
Now that Neo knows the awaited one is on the scene, he exchanges his body parts for cybernetic gadgets. That
what
does not happen in the movie.
No, it does not.
Now that Neo knows the awaited one is on the scene, I don't know what that half of the sentence means.
No, I have no idea.
Second half is he exchanges his body parts for cybernetic gadgets.
I mean, when he wakes up, he does have implants that were
Yes.
already there since birth.
When I hear the sentence, he exchanges his body parts for cybernetic gadgets, I'm picturing Inspector Gadget. That's how I read that.
Whoa.
Kung Fu.
Kung Fu.
Yeah. I mean, it's, yeah.
I
that's
mean,
what
I
that
would
says.
watch
That's
Hugo
just wrong.
Weaving as
That's just
Dr. Claw.
factually wrong. Okay. Now it's off to war for this computer hacker who, until this time, was the ultimate slacker.
No, he has a day job.
He's got a day job. Also is, like you said, a computer hacker. He's pretty proficient in hacking and computer science and understanding, like, he literally discovers and understands that there's something called the Matrix before he's approached about it. Pretty.
Yeah, but Mick, he was sleeping in the first scene that he's introduced. That clearly means he's not reaching his full potential.
So is Link at the beginning of every Legend in Zelda. Fuck off. It's literally a theme in all the games that he's asleep at the beginning. Does that make him a slacker? I think not. Okay.
Wait, he doesn't already have the hook shot? Slacker.
Sorry, maybe I'm proving their point by being a video game nerd. All right. Now it's off to, oh, sorry, just read that. Okay. In this regard, slackers around the planet may see Neo's character as an inspiration to do nothing but play video games and locate weird websites.
Is it Mr. Strickland from Back to the Future? Is he writing this review? Get off it, dude. There's not an army of slackers. And here's the thing, like, if we're slackers, but we're also like all en masse going to see the same movie together, that's not slacking. Like, we're already betraying these people who won't get up for anything are definitely
it's practically
going to go
activism when you think about it like that.
Yeah. Pretty soon, there's just going to be an army. Like,
yeah, these guys can't be coordinated in any way except for going to see this smash hit of a film.
Yeah.
To do nothing but play video games and locate weird websites is one of my personal favorite.
Isn't that what we're all doing in life, though?
I mean, honestly,
just trying to
who among us
locate.
has not just gone like, well, like just pulled back from what they're looking at, being like, I went down a rabbit hole tonight.
I mean, I have been giving this person a lot of shit, but I do have to say, in 1999, a big part of my day was looking for weird websites.
Trying to find weird websites.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It may encourage them into thinking and knowing that one day they too may receive a sign that their being out of work and reading comic books is part of God's plan.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. It's telling you that you're also the one. Yeah.
I've been banking on that for the last 30
I'm
years.
still hoping. I'm still waiting for Qui-Gon Jinn to walk in and say my midichlorian count is higher than any he's ever seen. It's going to happen. I'm going to reach my full
eventually, if you
potential.
read enough comic books, it'll happen for you.
Yeah. Or we're going to find a Green Lantern ring. Something is going to happen.
On this level, Matrix will reinforce the virtues of lethargy and pseudo-intellectualism.
He doesn't slack his way through the whole movie. He
does not.
makes a lot of tough choices. He coughs up blood on multiple occasions. He doesn't have an easy go of it. His entire
jumps off a
world,
building
he
trying
jumps
to
off
fly.
of a building. His entire world does get ripped away from him. He lives in a weird, rusty.
That's a good point. It's a genuinely brave act that he does for like being like, I would rather be completely like have a breakdown learning the truth than live a lie.
He lives in a 3-foot by 6-foot rusty cabin on a ship and eats gruel. But yeah, like, you know, like if all you do is look at it from the perspective of how he was when he started, it's not really a power fantasy. The second and third ones are totally power fantasies. But the first one, he doesn't even kind of like realize the power fantasy till the end.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's an arc. The other thing, like the climax of the movie is driven by his courage. It's driven by his self-starterness. He doesn't know how he's gonna save this guy.
No.
but he knows he's got to try.
Yeah.
He is not yet like the one at that point in time. He does not have the ability to, like, the first time he does the lean and goes back, I'm pretty sure Trinity is like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
how did you do that?
Yeah.
You moved the way the agents do.
Mhm.
Like, that's not a thing we as people can do. That happens after he's already made the decision. I'd rather die than let this guy get tortured and die. Like,
Yeah.
we got to do something.
He's not.
So-
He's not halfway through the movie going, well, I'm Superman, so I could probably.
Well, I'm already.
do
Yeah,
this, you know?
I got it. They gave it to me. So
I get the frustration on this guy's part though, because he's just watching like, no, they can't succeed. He didn't take
the slackers will win.
He didn't take his job seriously. He went out to a party the night before he had work. He can't win.
He's going clubbing. Who is this guy? He's our hero?
I bet he's also on marijuana.
White Rabbit is a reference to something. I don't understand it, but I know I don't trust it. On this level, Matrix will reinforce the virtues of lethargy and pseudo-intellectualism. Back to the movie.
Oh, okay.
That's written in. Back to the movie. Neo finds other disciples who are in dubious battle with the masters of the machine universe. They are led by a man in black, played by Hugo Weaving. He wears sunglasses. Perfectly. He wears sunglasses. Cool.
Oh, dude. Movies should not have style. I want all movies to look like George Lucas's THX 1138. I want white walls. I want featureless faces. I want everyone Star wipes if possible.
Yeah. He wears sunglasses. Cool. Neo's new friends include Trinity. This is in parentheses. And I swear to God, this word is written. Zounds! Another religious illusion.
Oh my God. Okay.
This is the guy, but for the record, this is the guy calling us nerds.
yeah, dude, you just quoted the 60s Batman show. Come on,
that
man.
was that's a borderline spaceman spiff reference from Calvin and Hobbes. It'd actually be cooler if it were.
Yeah. I would
think you're
respect him
more
a lot
right
more
than I am. Yeah,
dude, if this guy were a nerd like that, and I'd be like, I kind of take him at his word.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Trinity, Zounds, another religious illusion, played by Carrie-Anne Moss, and Cypher, portrayed by Joe Pantoliano. Now guess, is there a Judas in the group? That actually is a good, good note.
Yeah.
That is the one note in this review where I was like, I totally agree that Joey Pants comes across as a villain throughout the movie.
Oh, but I love it though. No.
It's telegraphed that he's not happy with the Matrix.
Yeah.
He talks about it. It's his main character trait. So it's not surprising when he betrays the group. I wonder if their point is they cast Joe Pantoliano in the movie.
Yeah.
And therefore, like, we all know he's going to be a shady piece of shit in this movie.
Yeah.
Which
it is funny because all of the characters when they're introduced on the Nebuchadnezzar are all like, this is Mouse. Hey, how's it going? This is like, Tank. Hey, this is, Dozer. Hi. Oh, and that's Cypher.
He's like,
What's going on?
He's like, go eat a dick. He's just real. He's got an energy about.
Does anybody miss the Matrix? Oh, did I say that out loud?
Why didn't I take the blue pill?
I want the steak. I want a steak so bad. Oh man.
Okay, so before the movie is over, viewers will be treated to a dazzling display of Asian acrobatics, and I suppose kudos are due to Reeves and Fishburne for learning this version of Japanese anime at the hands of a famed Oriental master.
Oh, God. I mean,
this is the least of the issues within this, but I do want to just say out loud, one of the most famous lines in this movie is, "I know kung fu."
Yeah.
If you are a journalist whose job is to review movies, you will know that line and bother to know that kung fu is Chinese and not Japanese.
Sure. Sure. I mean, you're right. That is like all.
That line frustrated me more than it's not
Well,
great.
you definitely know that there were nerds in 1999 correcting him as they read that review back then. But like, you know,
it's actually Chinese.
like we're not slackers, and it's not Chinese. You know, like yeah.
I believe what you're thinking of is karate. Yeah. There's a lot to be upset about in that. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is also, again, he refers to their quote unquote Asian acrobatics as this version of Japanese anime.
Yeah. Okay.
I do not think that word means what you think it means.
I do not think it means what you think it means. Yeah. I mean, like everything else has been an insult. So it's hard not to read, you know, when you spend, like, this is like 5 paragraphs in and everything he said has been mean-spirited. And now you're just saying, and you know, there's this Asian acrobatics.
I suppose kudos that they bothered to learn all their fight choreography.
By the way, that line where it's like, I guess I have to, like, dude, no, this was a good thing. This was a well-made thing. This was good. You can just say it. You don't have to
that's the thing. I think a lot of these reviews, and this one in particular, is like, if they find a movie not worth watching or bad, every element of that movie needs to be bad.
Right.
This is something that I think is unequivocally visually stunning, took a tremendous amount of work, as well as a lot of like innovative, groundbreaking technology went into the fight sequences in this movie. And you know, changed the way hand-to-hand combat is shot.
Yeah.
In cinema. Just say that.
Yeah.
Just acknowledge the fighting in this movie is incredible.
Yeah.
But you hated the movie. That is at least a position that is like foundationally sound. But there's this need to hate both the plot and structure and narrative of the movie and all this nerd shit that this person doesn't like, and then to go like, I guess the fights are whatever. Okay.
I swear I can make it to the end of this. I swear.
We're on the back 9, I promise.
Okay.
The climax is a high-tech version of the traditional gunfight.
No, it isn't.
It's not. It's just not.
It's just not.
It's the definition of innovation in cinema.
It's not that.
It's what people look at, what people think about when they say like how movies can change over time is like.
By the way, it does have my favorite line read in the history of movies. I do think that this person is up there with Al Pacino as the greatest actor in the history of cinema. When they walk through that metal detector scene and that one security guard goes, "Please remove all metal objects," and he opens up his shirt and all the guns are there, and the guy just goes, "Oh shit!" And it's just it's the best. It's the most honest acting I've ever seen.
That man inhabited that security guard
because it's exactly what you like. You have never seen a gun on the job. And he's just got 50 guns, and he's just like, "Oh shit!"
You're so right. That there's this weird kind of, are you like almost laugh, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's phenomenal acting from that one line guy.
Oh, that's so funny. That's a really great line. Yeah, this movie it's got great little moments like that. It's got your I've heard somebody else talk about this, but I forget who it was who said it. So I don't mean to plagiarize, but once I heard them say it, now it's all I think about with this movie is somebody at some point said like, just once I want someone to burst into a room I'm in and yell, Morpheus is fighting Neo, and everybody get up and run out of the room.
I would inherently
I
get
want
it
that so bad
and go along with it.
Yeah, you've got to go.
Oh, you know who's cool in your friend group if everybody just gets the fuck up and like joins. That's so funny.
Yeah.
All right, keep
okay.
going.
Yeah. Two realities juxtaposed: religious and mythological illusions, Zen, slow motion acrobatics. Wow, cool. The problem is that the Matrix's narrative line is a pretentious, confusing mess. But in a world in which comic books and high-tech razzle-dazzle are substitutes for introspection, the fusion of gadgets, laser effects, and obscure references will have to pass for coherence and substance.
This is one of those guys who I'm assuming a guy. This is one of those people who I desperately want to go back through their collection and see what action movie do they not think is just like a loose collection of set pieces meant to dazzle. Like, who did it right?
Yeah.
Who did it right? Who did it who achieved their goal better than this?
Yeah. The other thing too is I think the sentence is internally contradictory. That like he talks first about a world of conflicting realities in which this movie examines religious and mythological illusions, talking about Zen ideas. There's literally a transhumanism idea here that you can download information into your brain. Like he acknowledges that element of it and then says, in a world in which comic books and high-tech razzle-dazzle are substitutes for introspection, blah, 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 blah. It's like it can either be overly lofty and pretentious or just nothing but action patter.
Yeah.
You can either knock it for one or the other, but in a movie that is genuinely both, you can't knock it for both.
Right.
Like,
right. Like you can shut your brain off and not pay attention to the psychology of it if you want,
sure,
but then you're just watching a really
watching an action flick
movie.
That's great,
do it. Or you can kind of ignore the pew 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 and watch it for like, oh wow, this is really an interesting
grapple with like, what if we were in a simulation?
Yeah, like either one of those works independently. Either one of those is a movie. And the fact that it's doing both, are you mad that it's doing both? Is that what you're saying?
Well, in one half of the sentence, it knocks it for being one, and then it knocks it for being the other. And it's like, well, those are both ends of the spectrum. Like,
yeah. Jeez. Okay. This guy's review is longer than the movie. Like you could have gone to see them. If you're saying like, hey, don't waste 2 hours, don't make your review 2 hours.
It's crazy. Okay, this sentence you're gonna love.
Oh God.
Heaven forbid that anyone tells slacker audiences that books like Orwell's 1984 and Joyce's Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man, as well as movies like A Clockwork Orange, handled similar themes with much more sophistication, intelligence, and depth.
Well, first of all, nailed it again with the beginning of the sentence pisses me off. I mean, once again, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's an interesting point that this person is trying to say, here's why they got it wrong, by saying other things have handled similar themes with more sophistication and depth.
But I always feel like that's a cop-out as well, because it's like you need 5 examples of other movies that kind of touched on those themes. And it's like, yeah, but this movie did all of them. Yep, yeah, but like this movie is all
It's
of that.
every
So
single
it
one of those
did
things. Yeah. And also has a unique voice and perspective on those themes.
right.
To to say, well, 1984 already covered the idea of a surveillance state, so I don't think anything ever needs to really examine that again. Like,
It's this is like those old like home cooking journal articles from like 1900 that's like everything that needs to be invented has been invented.
yeah, oh my God, those are great. I love those quotes of like, yeah, someone from 1905 going like, "We're done building new things."
Well, now that we've got the steam engine, I can't think of anything else. It's just like, okay.
Oh my God, how small-minded.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
It's not making the same argument as 1984, asshole. It's not saying the same thing.
mm-mm, mm-mm.
Okay.
It's not, and
So
and
no one gets to
the
take these themes and like make a different argument or a different point?
the also the terms of the even like within the theme of like say a surveillance state that's constantly monitoring the way you act and think and is like keeping tabs on you to make sure you have this almost manufactured existence. The terms of that in 1984 are so different from those of the Matrix that like they s- it's like they're speaking the same language but not saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Like they're talking about different circumstances.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a mess.
God.
That's a mess of an analogy.
Oh,
All right, we're almost done, I promise.
okay.
But in the Slackers universe, a world in which the hero is aptly represented by Reeves, Matrix will be a big hit. That virtually is a depressing reality.
There it is again. We
Yeah.
cannot escape the it'll make money for the people that like it. I, it's so frustrating that in and of itself is supposed to be a knock.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing too is this feels like a weird dig at Keanu Reeves at the end of it,
Yeah.
saying that that he's an apt representation of Slackers. I think that's supposed to be a Bill and Ted knock,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe like kind of just Keanu has a kind of surfer affect when he talks. Um, I always look to this movie as like one of the like quintessential examples of a main character or like a hero character being um fairly flat in terms of their style of speaking, their acting, their choices. Things are neutral, and that allows you to imprint on that person
Mm-hmm.
and understand like to inhabit the main character's role. Like this to me is like a pinnacle example of that kind of thing.
For the whole movie, he is reacting the way any of us would. He literally at one point goes, "What? No, this is crazy." And it's
Yeah.
like that's exactly what we would
Yeah.
say. And
All
we
of this is insane. He doesn't understand. Yeah.
because yeah, I mean it is also like I think anybody is gonna look a little wooden next to Lawrence Fishburne and Hugo Weaving, who are like absolutely chewing the scenery. And it's and I love it. I love everything about it. Like we haven't really talked about it. This movie, the casting, I cannot imagine anybody else playing Morpheus. I cannot. I mean,
Yeah,
I had
100%.
to when they made the most recent sequel, but like, or anybody else playing Agent Smith. It is flawless casting for what they do. Keanu Reeves as Neo is absolutely nailing what is needed of
Right.
him.
The other side of that two shot is
Right.
perfect. Yeah, and I mean, Lawrence Fishburne as Morpheus is he's got the perfect blend of like over the topness and what's the word? Just this kind of not gravitas, but like just this sense of like weight to what's going on in things, while also like there's almost especially when he's training Neo, there's almost a playfulness to like
Yeah.
how he's breaking down Neo's understanding of the world, while at the same time, there's just the like the little glasses that have to like you have to what are they called, pince nez, that you have to like
Yeah.
hold on your face.
Which totally found online and like, wanted to buy, but I knew they weren't going to stay on as, as well as they do in the movie.
There's a certain like you gotta like there's a confidence that you need in order to pull those off that
Yeah.
I know I will never have.
mean,
And the instant I walk into a room wearing those and someone goes, "What are you wearing on your face?" I'll never.
I
I'll
do
never
feel
wear
like
them
that's
again.
also just Lawrence Fishburne just oozing charisma. Like if he had turned around originally in that lightning strike scene when you're first seeing him for the first time, if he was wearing a bucket hat, I feel like it'd be like, all right, okay,
Yeah,
all
I
right.
buy that too. I buy that equally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Morpheus wears a bucket hat.
Yeah, no, it's a charisma that man can pull off, and he does in an amazing way in that scene.
That's amazing.
Again, another one is Hugo Weaving. Humans Are a Disease is one of my favorite monologues in anything because of the way he does it. It's the delivery, it's the voice. Everybody hits their points. I really do think this is a movie where you're right, the casting is perfect. Could you imagine another Agent Smith?
No.
I can't.
To a point where when I was watching Lord of the Rings and Frodo gets stabbed and passes out and wakes up in the kind of Rivendell
And you just
stuff,
randomly see Elrond.
and it actually happened in the theater. Elrond's face comes up and he goes, "Welcome to Rivendell." Somebody behind me goes, "Mr. Anderson," and like the everybody in the audience lost their shit. To this day, it's the hardest I've ever heard. I do stand up for a living. It's the hardest I've ever heard.
Anything's ever killed.
Laughing. It's somebody, Mr. Anderson.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Lord of the Rings, we will definitely get to Lord of the Rings on this show. But okay, so that's the end of that review.
Oh God,
I got a couple of user reviews here.
Okay,
we can play our new favorite game of two reviews and a lie.
So we had this idea to kind of make our own reviews of the movie, and we think we want to take it to the next level here. What did you want to call it? Two reviews and a lie.
Two reviews and a lie.
I love it. So we're gonna read a couple of user reviews, and one of them is written by us. And we have to figure out which one is written by the person who read the review, and which are two real user reviews.
Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Interesting to watch this movie because I wanted to understand the references. Redville versus Blue Pill. I came away being slightly disappointed. The world idea is incredibly interesting, but I just couldn't get over how much time was dedicated to expositioning and telling our main character, Neo, that he is the chosen one. I'm not a fan of the chosen one arcs in movies and books because they are incredibly unrealistic and put an incredible amount of pressure on the protagonist. And then there was a there was the cliche of love bringing you back from the dead, which I disliked. Also, I understand this is supposed to be an action movie, but there were way too many guns. Finally, for how much time the movie dedicates to explaining why the Matrix is bad, I still don't understand why it is bad. People are perfectly happy living fine lives in the Matrix.
You're right. It was an action movie.
Action movie. Yeah.
All right, so that was review 1.
That's review 1.
Okay.
Here's review 2. I'm just gonna say it. This movie is not exciting. If you want to get incepted, just watch Inception. Sure, the Matrix has tubes and mind melding and they can dodge bullets like Angelina Jolie, but those things are in other movies in abundance and don't require sitting through this boring movie about lizard people. 1 star for dodging bullets and leather dusters.
Oh my God. Okay.
And here's review 3. Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne do kung fu, and that's awesome. The slow motion gun stuff is awesome too. But the story is so confusing that I just start to tune it out until they start fighting again. I don't understand any of it, and I don't think I ever will. Just came here to say that this movie is 25 years old and I still don't get it. Also, Paul Rudd was not in the movie. The fight scenes were hilarious, but the story was confusing.
Paul Rudd's not in the movie? What the hell? Oh my God. Okay. See, it's between 2 and 3 that I think you wrote.
You think I did?
Ooh. The Paul Rudd thing is so random. Is there a reference that we don't know? My God. I'm going to say you wrote 2.
I wrote number 3.
You wrote 3? That's awesome. Because 2 reads a lot like your other reviews, like 1 star, because of the
I did. I knew that might bait you. I also kind of cheated in that 3 is an amalgamation of other 1-star reviews that I rewrote into its own idea.
That's great.
But the Paul Rudd thing,
game.
I could not resist the urge to make sure it got put in there.
Because that is something that they would like. I would be like, what the fuck? Like, okay.
Why?
Yeah.
That was by an approved reviewer from like IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes or something.
Is 3 also the one that's got where you say like just came in here to say?
Yeah.
I love that, where it's like just popped in 25 years after the movie to say blarg.
Yeah. My favorite line, and this is a straight lift from something else. The fight scenes were hilarious, but the story was confusing. That was too good to not just plagiarize openly.
What else can you expect from a action movie?
It is a action movie from 1999.
Well, that is The Matrix.
What do you think? Change your mind?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know how to think about it now because I am such a slacker.
Yeah. I mean,
so my brain won't even let me.
Just being a comic book nerd about it. I get it, man.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's so frustrating. That's so insanely frustrating.
It is just, you completely lost the point of being like, oh, it's got sci-fi action shit. Like, cool. Good for you nerds. Enjoy your stupid movie.
Not every movie is for you specifically. You as a reviewer are not only going to watch movies that directly appeal to you. Like, isn't that reviewing 101 where you're like,
you need to have a level of objectivity of like, this movie, it was not made for me, but it is still good. Like, it's still a good movie.
I'm not 15. I'm not a computer nerd, but I might have to watch a movie that involves computers and people doing flip-de-doos and shooting guns. That's going to be part of the job.
Mm-hmm.
So what do I do with that information? Do I just close off?
You use it to bully children.
Right.
You've specifically said in your review that this movie will appeal to people who are above 15 and below 16, meaning that the only people you are knocking right now are literal children.
Literal children. God.
And slackers. The abstract notion of slackers. It's very rare that these reviews very frequently are bad. That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
It's rare that they're outright insulting to people who enjoy the movie, and that they actually make me like annoyed that this got edited, printed and published.
Yeah, like that's a good point. I'm blown away that like usually the vitriol goes towards the filmmakers, but this went directly to the audience.
Anyone who likes this is a loser was the theme of this review.
But there was no comment about like they should never have made this movie. It was all like, of course they're going to make the movie, but then, it's your fault for going.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
If you like this, you're a loser.
Yeah.
It's the theme of this.
God, that's
I'm
amazing.
sure the losers will love it. It's one of the more mean-spirited reviews we've ever looked at.
Blown away by that.
Yeah.
Tell us what
so
you
it changed
thought.
your mind is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell us what you thought of The Matrix. Give us a like on Apple Podcasts. Like, share, subscribe. Leave me a comment on any of my social medias at Dave Columbo on TikTok, at DVD Columbo on Instagram. Tell us what movies you want us to do next. Leave us your shitty review for The Matrix.
Yeah, write your own review.
Please. And this was so much fun. Please, please, please tell a friend about the show because these are a lot of fun. I want more people to check this show out because we're having a blast. Until next time, I've been Dave Columbo,
I'm Mick Andrews.
and this was Off the Mark.